Everybody, I'm Joe Balog. It's a beautiful spring morning and we're out here discovering the effectiveness of this monster. This is an umbrella rig, or commonly referred to as an Alabama rig. And we're going to talk all about these rigs here in a minute. But essentially what they are is they're anywhere from 3 to 5 lures all in one on these wire arms, or in some cases titanium. But this rig is a modified saltwater rig that was originally used for trolling, that now is a smaller scaled down castable version for bass and for other game fish. So we're going to talk about this. This has been really big in the bass fishing industry the last few months. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the little tricks and see if we can catch a fish on it. This is a box of them. This is a new box by Plano. It's quite simply called the Alabama Rig Box. And what it does is it takes some of the headache out of these things by allowing you to effectively store them. You'll see it's got just a couple different tabs in here that you could set it up however you want. I've got mine set up in different directions and things. But essentially what it does is it holds these things all together within your box. Okay, there's a real big heavy one, and we're going to talk about some of the different types of lures and different weight heads and things, but the only way to store it is this thing, and you literally just lay these in here, punch them down on the tabs, and they're ready to go, and it keeps it really nice. That's the whole key. That thing holds those wires, whether it's a 3 or 4 or 5. That's what holds. We're going to show you some stuff in the water, some different baits to consider, some different retrieves, some different rods. You know, we're going to talk all about the tackle involved, but for starters, that's the umbrella rig. Stand by. And one of the keys to this is having the right equipment. This is like guerrilla tactics when it comes to bass fishing. This is 50-pound Suffix 832 braid, and that's on the light side. People are using 50 to 80-pound braided line because your line size doesn't matter, so use the biggest stuff you got. These are expensive rigs, so you want a braided, no stretch line. The other thing is you want a real big rod. This is an 8-foot Daiwa Zillion flipping stick. It's a heavy action rod, and just as important as the action is the length. Because this is such a big, cumbersome bait and it's difficult to cast, you need a big rod because it's just a lob style cast. You don't underhand cast this, you don't pitch it, you don't do any of that stuff. It's a big over the head lob style cast. So you just reel it up, get 2 hands on your rod, and you can throw it way out there. Most of the retrieve then is just a standard straight cranking retrieve. That time I clicked it over, reeled it like one crank. That one got on, and he got on. I was thinking it was going to be a 7-pounder. That's one thing about this. You get some massive strikes on it. What I've done here is we've got 4 similar baits, and you'll see there's one different, and the reason for that is I want to show a little bit in the water about some of the differences. This is a standard kind of boot tail swim bait, and this is a solid bodied swim bait that's originally a saltwater bait. These are hollow bodied, but let me show you in the water how this thing looks. You can see it really looks like a school of minnows coming through the water. One thing you'll notice, the reason I did this to illustrate, is because different situations are going to call for different baits. These solid bodies actually have more action. If you look in the water, when I pull it really slow, you could pull it so slow that the boot tails don't even kick. Show that again. But that solid body still kicks. So, this is a learning process for everybody. By no means has this thing been, dialed in by everybody yet. We're still learning a lot of intricacies to the bait. But the reason I do that is to illustrate that there's a lot of different kinds of swim baits and a lot of different kinds of baits. You could use grubs, you could use big hollow body style, solid body. This is kind of a hybrid in between the two. So there's a bunch of different baits that you could use on this, and they're all going to give you a different action and a little different traits to the rig. So experiment on your own. One of the other cool things about the Alabama style rigs, umbrella rigs, is you got big heavy gear, so most fish you can just swing with. I'm Joe Balog. Thanks a lot for sticking with